This is Dr. Bradley Nelson, author of The Emotion Code, How to Release Your Trapped Emotions for Abundant Health, Love, and Happiness. You're listening to Justin and Kate on Extreme Health Radio. For more information about the Body Code, visit extremehealthradio.com/Body Code.
Welcome to Extreme Health Radio. Extreme Health Radio.
Where natural solutions to almost every health condition are out there. Join us on our journey to find them.
Now here are your hosts,
broadcasting from sunny Southern California around the world,
Justin and Kate Stellman.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on another episode of Extreme Health Radio. And as the lady said, or was it the guy that said it was a sunny day? I don't know which. I can't remember.
We don't know our own intros. I don't know.
But it is a very sunny and warm day here in Southern California, so it's really great. Beautiful fall day here. It's Wednesday, November 6th, 2013. And we hope you guys are all having a great time wherever you are around the world today. And we do shows 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And pretty soon we're going to be switching that Sunday show to Friday. That'll be fun, won't it?
That's right.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, right?
Yes.
The Free For All Friday show is actually going to take place on Friday. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
So that'll be fun, and we're looking forward to enhancing those Friday shows. And if you'd like to follow what we're doing, we'd love to have you join our community on Facebook. That would be a fun way for you guys to interact with us, and we'd love to have you on there and stay up to date with our show and past shows and upcoming shows and all that good stuff. And let's see, this is episode number 172. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/172, you can check out the show page and check out the links and all of that stuff that Rod mentions. And this is going to be a really, really great show. We're going to be talking today with Rod Czlonka and his journey with healing brain cancer, terminal brain cancer. So this is going to be good stuff.
What a story.
Yeah, what a story. And if you'd like to join the show, a lot of different ways you can do that. You can go to, actually, you can just send an email to justin@extremehealthradio.com.
Or Kate, Kate, at extremehealthradio.com.
And you can also now, we are actually broadcasting live.
Our very first show.
I know.
Our flagship.
So we hope it sounds good, and we have no idea how it sounds, but we did some testing last night. And if you would like to join the chat room, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/live, and you'll be able to join the chat there, ask some questions. So that'll be a lot of fun. And, you know, another great thing that you guys, if you want to do to help keep the shows free and support our work, is by purchasing through Amazon from us. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Amazon, you can make all of your holiday purchases on there. Anytime you make a purchase, doesn't even have to be health related, and that will help keep the show free for everybody. So that'll be great if you guys could do that. And many people have been doing that, and it's such a huge help. So thank you for remembering to do that. I know it's hard to remember, but thank you for those who have. Really appreciate it. And looking at our upcoming show schedule, Kate, we have lots of interesting people coming on.
Yeah.
Dr. Victor Zines tomorrow with dental health. Mm-hmm. And he's a natural dentist out of New York, I believe, and doing some really great work with showing how the dental health and dental and oral pathology relates to our overall health. And I'm sure Rod knows some things about that as well. And then we have Dr. Jack Cruz, who's a paleo kind of author guy, but he's a brain surgeon.
Oh my gosh.
Interesting guy. And he does a lot of things.
You might know a thing or two.
Leptin protocol. He's got the cold thermogenesis protocol for losing weight and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Gosh.
And then we have Emil Detofol. I forget how I say his last name, but he's with Less EMF, and he'll be talking about some of the ways to protect ourselves from electromagnetic field radiation. And that'll be interesting. So, and today we have Mr. Rod Czlonka, and at 41 in 2003, he was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Crazy story. And he underwent 19 sessions of radiation therapy and 3 months of chemotherapy. And basically, the doctors told him it was time to die. 41 years old. Can you imagine? Isn't that just crazy?
Oh, man.
He's the author of 2 books, Decide to Live, Surviving Cancer When Everyone Tells You It's Time to Die, and A State of Being, Healing Your Body and Your Life. And his website is healinghut.net. So thank you, Rod, for being on. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing very well. Thank you for the gracious introduction. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So I'm sure you do a lot of radio shows, and you got quite a story. And so you've written those 2 books. Is the newest one Decide to Live?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's newer of the 2, right?
Oh, okay, excellent. And
it's in its second edition, actually.
Okay. And State of Being was the one you wrote before that. How many years before did you write that book?
2 years. 2 years before I did A State of Being.
Okay.
You've been a busy bee, haven't you?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If you look at how many books you sold, you might not agree. You might say, well, if I could just squeeze one more book in there, the numbers will look much better. But I write the way I write, and I do what I can. And I raise a family and everything else in the interim. So it's not like it's easy. There's constantly, I'm throwing ideas against the wall and trying to make time to write. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Wow. So what was your life like before you were diagnosed? I mean, 41, that's just
so young.
Yeah. Talk about young. I mean, that's crazy.
Well, I was 41. I was a general manager for electronics distributorship. I had a 5th floor corner office. I had a secretary. I had underground parking. I had all the amenities, that most people associate with wealth. But that didn't help me from what I was going through. A brain tumor is something that will change you forever, and it makes you a different human being. And so everything I thought was important, it turned out was nothing. It was just they were all just possessions, but none of them really had intrinsic value, if you know what I mean.
Wow.
Yeah. Can imagine.
Yeah. So you were just kind of going along with life, and you had a great job. And what were some of the symptoms you had?
I had seizures. That was my symptom. I had a seizure. Okay, and then I had the seizure, and then they said, "Hey, you should go take this to a neurologist, have him look at it." And so I did just that. And a week later, he said, "I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Czlonka, you have a brain tumor." And I looked behind me to see if he was talking to my dad, but he wasn't. He was talking to me. And so that's really where the story began. I had the craniotomy to remove the tumor, and then I had like 3 months of adjunctive therapies, that being chemotherapy and radiation therapy. But I was just getting worse and worse and worse. I was just dwindling away to nothing, actually. And I had to call the ball, and I had to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And everybody told me I was going to die. And I said, well, if I die, I die, but I don't think so. And this is August 21st was 10 years. So obviously it was the right call.
Yeah, my gosh.
Although nobody agreed with me at the time.
Wow. So did the doctors, when you were initially diagnosed, how a lot of times the doctors will try to rush patients into chemotherapy and kind of scare them and get them going really, really quick? Did they try to do that to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was like imperative. They had this one doctor who said, and she was just so rough. She was unreasonably rough. And I was like, and that struck a chord with me, because I'm like, why is she being so over the top, aggressive, rough? Why is she being so pushy? Why is she being so heartless? She was being all of those things. And she was trying too hard. And I didn't understand that. And I said, why would she be doing that? Well, after I figured out what was what, the reason she was doing that is because she knew if she didn't get me in the program right away, she was never going to get me in the program. Once I had a chance to go out there and figure out what was what, I would never opt to go into that program willingly. So she had to get me in there right away when I didn't know anything, and I was just fresh out of surgery. That was her game plan all along.
Rod, do you think that that doctors have a concerted effort to try to rush people into chemotherapy and radiation? Do they get any sort of benefit themselves financially out of that, or is that just a thing that they've been programmed with?
I'm sure they do. Okay. I wish I could articulate what that is. I don't know what that is, but they do get, it's like a annuity to them. They get money, as they have me in the program. The further I go down the program, the more money they get. So that was her best interest. And then you got one person consulting, and you got 3 other guys. Maybe she's just consulting my oncologist.
Uh-huh.
So she's getting a piece of the action too. You know, you got 100 people like that. It adds up. It adds up to quite a bit of money.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't disclose that information to people, but there's got to be something going on because doctors just love to get people started on chemo so quick, don't they?
And here's the thing. There's not a shred of evidence that it works.
Uh-huh.
Now, let me say that again. There's not a shred of evidence that it works. If you look at the raw numbers, you're going to live much longer if you don't do any therapy than if you do chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
But yet people are routinely forced into taking this type of adjunctive therapy. Even though it does not help, they're forced into it because the doctors say, hey, this is what you have to do. But in reality, there's a gentleman named Harlan Jones. I don't know if you knew him, Harlan Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a bunch of research that said you can live up to 4 times longer if you did no therapy whatsoever.
What was his name? Harlan Jones?
Harlan Jones.
Harlan Jones.
Interesting. He said you'd live 4 times longer if you did no chemo.
Oh, absolutely. Matter of fact, it's in that presentation I gave you, Justin.
Yeah.
The spelling of his name. Now, he was a professor at Berkeley, and he said that this is what his data showed. Now, this was during the 70s and 80s, so people could make the argument, well, that's kind of bygone, but not so much, because many of the chemotherapeutic agents they're using today are from 40, 50 years ago. You would think that they're cutting edge and state of the art, but they're not. They're usually older types of chemotherapy or radiation therapy.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that most of the main chemotherapy agents that they're using is at least 20 years old.
I lost my father-in-law last year, and I insisted on going to the oncologist with him. He wanted to go to an oncologist, so I went with him. And the oncologist stood there and lied to both of us, and he said, with this new chemo, we're keeping people alive for years, not just months. And so I went home, looked up the chemo, and it was like almost 50 years old, that particular form of chemo that he was going to give my father-in-law. And so, see, it's just about who's a better liar. If I can lie better than you, then maybe I can talk you out of it. Or if he's a better liar than me, he can talk you into it. But none of it's meant to help you.
Right. And it's
just smoke and mirrors.
If you put a white coat on, people will believe you even more, right?
Oh, I can't tell you how many people they say, well, Rod, there's no letters after your name, so therefore I'm not going to listen to what you got to say.
Have you really had a lot of people?
That's their prerogative.
And people have said that to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, that's a whole separate show.
I was going to say.
I mean, that's a very interesting idea that people have been so programmed that they need to have authority figures that have letters after names. That's just a weird thing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, it's what we've been conditioned to accept, Justin.
Yeah.
Most people are, even my own parents, and they know how I am, but they'll say, Rod, you need to go talk to a doctor about this or that. And they know I'm not a doctor person, but they're so conditioned to believe in the doctor and believe that he's got solutions that's what they push you in that angle.
How do you respond to that, Rod?
How do you what?
How do you respond to that?
Well, I just say that's not my choice. I don't choose to do that. Now, I'm not saying I haven't had doctors who have really helped me in my life, because I have. But it was my neurosurgeon, my brain surgeon. That guy saved my life, without a doubt. Okay? Mm-hmm. But he wasn't some guy there trying to push chemo and push radiation therapy. He was there to operate on my brain. Yeah. And he was the best of the best. His name was Leonard Cirillo. He's, as far as I know, he's the best neurosurgeon in the United States, or at least one of the best neurosurgeons in the United States. And that guy saved my life. But he was not somebody pushing the drugs and pushing the radiation on me. He was just like, hey, if you're interested in these things, they're there.
It seems like to me, out of the three that they use, chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, it seems like to me the surgery would be the one that I would be the most tolerant of in terms of having one of those three procedures done. Even though it does radically affect the body on an energetic level and everything else.
It does.
At least it doesn't seem like it's as damaging, though, does it, as chemo and radiation?
Well, here's the thing. Most of the time when you have brain surgery, you come out with something called deficits. meaning you can't use your right arm very good, or you can't talk, or whatever.
Yeah.
So there could be deficits. That's from the surgery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know we interviewed a guy named Chris Wark, and I think his episode was, gosh, I forget, 13 or 15 or something. I'll put a link to it on this show page, 172. But he had colon cancer. I think he was around 30 or something.
Yeah, he was a really young guy.
Really young guy. And he had colon cancer, and he had the tumor removed. And then they immediately wanted to put him on chemotherapy and radiation, intense treatments of it. And that's when he started doing like the Gerson protocol and doing these different things. And, he's like you, Rod, he's 10 years in remission now. And so the surgery, I guess, did seem to help remove the actual mass. And then he's been doing natural treatments ever since.
Yeah. I don't know that there was a way to get around the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly could have done without the chemo or the radiation therapy. That didn't help me at all. But I survived it, and I lived to tell the tale.
Wow. So you were starting to have seizures. How many times did you have the seizures?
I had 2 seizures.
2 seizures. Wow. And so...
Yeah, it's probably enough to wake you up.
Yeah.
That's probably all you need.
Yeah.
If people have seizures, should they worry, do you think?
Well, depending, if you have epilepsy, that's one thing. No, I guess you shouldn't worry about anything.
Yeah.
But you should definitely take notice.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're having seizures. So you had...
A seizure can screw your body up. A seizure can screw your brain up. And it can make you disoriented for a number of days. So there's a challenge. There's a challenge with any seizure. They should be avoided if possible.
So you were 41 years old, you had a couple seizures, and then you went in to go get that checked out. That's when they told you you had brain cancer. Did they give you at that time a diagnosis in terms of what stage it was in, if we believe in stages?
Yes. It's something called anaplastic astrocytoma grade 3.
Grade 3. And are there only 4 grades?
Yes.
Wow.
You might have heard the term GBM. It's acronym for glioblast. That's what a lot of people have, and those are very hard to spot.
I'm sorry, Rod, you're cutting out a little bit on Skype. I think we didn't get the last part of that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. I think there's something, an issue with Skype here.
What I was going to say is that there's a lot of people who, if you have a seizure, it'll really screw your brain up permanently. So I mean, you never know what's going to happen if you're seizing. So it's better to avoid that if possible.
Yeah.
So what was your diet or what was your lifestyle like? Like you said, I mean, you were just kind of going full bore into technology and your work and all that.
It wasn't my lifestyle. What it was is that I was a heavy cell phone user.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
In excess of 1,000 minutes a month, and for the vast majority of my life, I never even used a cell phone. So I got the new position, I got promoted, and then I was a heavy cell phone user. My brain didn't handle the transition too well.
Clearly.
Wow. So you were using the phone over a half hour a day.
Easily.
Oh, go ahead.
That kind of seems like a low end for some people, which is even scarier to me.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta understand now, the phones today have much lower radiation than the phones did back then.
I thought they would have more because of
the brick phones?
Yeah, the brick phone.
Oh, right. Yeah, I thought they would have more just because of these smartphones and all that.
No, well, they have more frequencies. They just don't have the wattage.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there was actually like a thermal issue that was actually heating brain tissue.
Oh gosh.
Wow. Jeez.
So
do you want me to call in on the regular landline?
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and pause the actual podcast recording, and let's go ahead and call you because Skype is cutting out a bit here. So we'll go ahead and pause this, and we'll call you on your landline. Is that okay?
That'd be great.
Excellent. Thanks, Rod. Okay, we are back now on the podcast, and it's actually time to take a break here, and we're going to get into the cell phone issue because, as Rod was saying, 1,000 minutes a month, that's about 33 minutes a day.
Right.
And if you're using the cell phone that much, I mean, most people are probably, like you said, Kate, using it a lot more than that.
Right. But I do want to get into a little, like he said, it is a lower, we're operating on a little bit of a better system as far as, the radiation that's emitting from those things. But yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll be right back with Mr. Rod Czlonka. Interesting stuff. Don't forget to check out his website, healinghut.net. And his books you can check them out on Amazon or this show page or his website, whatever you like. His book is Decide to Live in a State of Being. And we'll link those up on this show page, extremehealthradio.com/172. And we'll be right back after this break. I have been a huge fan of rebounding for many, many years. And if you want to get in great cardiovascular shape, tone your legs, back, and butt, and stomach, as well as cleanse your lymphatic system from toxins and chemicals, you just have to start rebounding. It's imperative. And not only will it create endorphins that quickly become addictive to you, but it's very low impact as well. It helps to prevent sicknesses and diseases, as well as increase bone density, and it flushes toxins from your lymphatic system. It's amazing. And not only that, but it's a ton of fun also. I do it every single day for about 15 minutes. And we found the best rebounder on the market today in the world, bar none. It's called the Bellicon Rebounder. It's the Rolls Royce of rebounders, in my opinion. And let's listen to some of what our guests have had to say about rebounding. Robert von Sarbacher is a health researcher and creator of the Mini Beat Protocol. And Robert, what's your favorite exercise?
In general, probably one of the number one anti-aging exercises on the planet is rebounding. So 15 minutes a day is good for that. You can find people who have had thermography scans on cancers, giant tumors, and when they're doing a rebounder, it would start spewing out and shrinking right in front of your eyes, the tumor would, as they're on the rebounder. So it's really good for that sort of thing. It's also very good for exercising internal organs. It's the only internal organ exerciser that I know of known to man.
Dr. Lindsay Duncan is the CEO and founder of Genesis Today. And what's the best way that you think of to stimulate the lymphatic system of the body?
Rebounding is incredible because it's good for the lymphatic system, and there's more lymph fluid in the body than there is blood. And the quickest way and the most effective way to get the lymphatic system flowing is through rebounding itself.
Yeah, because the lymphatic system can't really detox itself, can it? I think
the heart, we have the heart, thank you, for pumping blood. And we don't have a heart to pump lymphatic fluid. The only thing that really can pump lymphatic fluid is cardiovascular exercise utilizing the thighs, the thigh muscles. And that's why rebounding and getting a burn in that thigh muscle is so important for the flow and the stimulation of the lymphatic fluid.
Wow, and they even put cancer patients on rebounding, don't they?
Nutritionists do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but not a conventional doctor. But yeah, I've been learning about rebounding lately. It's quite an amazing thing.
Yeah, rebounding's amazing.
Health researcher and author of Cancer Step Outside the Box, Ty Bollinger. What do you do in your life to prevent cancer?
What do you do to treat cancer? What do you do to prevent it? Rebounding is something that I try to do on a daily basis. A little mini trampoline for those people that aren't familiar with the term rebounding, but it's basically just jumping up and down on a little mini tramp. What that does is it stimulates the lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is one of our primary detoxification systems in our body, and most folks don't stimulate their lymph flow, and so the toxicity in their body builds up because their lymph is not stimulated, and the up-down motion on a rebounder stimulates the lymph flow better than just about any other exercise. So I do that almost on a daily, probably 5 days a week, I would say I average doing that.
And finally, author and speaker and creator of the Longevity Now program, David Wolfe. Do you think the Bellicon is the best rebounder on the market today?
Absolutely. I was just with the crew in Europe that does the Bellicon Rebounder, which is an incredible rebounder. My God, what a machine. And it doesn't use metal springs. It uses like flexi ropes. So it's very soft and fun, and it's just great to play with.
Well, there you have it. The up and down G-force actually stimulates every single cell in your body. It's incredible. And as someone who works out in the gym a lot and does Qigong, I think that the best physical aerobic exercise, in my opinion, is rebounding. It's just absolutely incredible for the human body. And the Bellicon is silent, and it comes with a warranty, and you can get them in several different sizes and colors, and some of them have bars that you can hold on to in case you're worried about balance. It's a well worth it investment in your health and in your future. So check them out in our store if you'd like, or you can check out the videos on extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. Again, that's extremehealthradio.com/Bellicon. That's B as in boy, ELLICON.
100% listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
All right, we're having a great time here with Mr. Rod Czlonka from healinghut.net, and make sure to check out his website. Lots of really fascinating and great information on there. Really, really fascinating man, and we love talking to people that have quite a unique story about how they overcame a particular disease, especially when everyone is telling them to go the other way and take chemotherapy and drugs and radiation and all this stuff. So it's really, really fascinating talk. And don't forget to sign up to our newsletter list if you guys want to join what we have going on. We put out tons of great information and give away a free ebook, Lessons from the Miracle Doctors. It sells for $20 on Amazon, and you can get that for free. We send that out to you directly, so don't forget to check that out. And Rod, before the break, we were talking a little bit about the whole notion of cell phones, and I have to say it's so interesting to me because there's not a day that goes by that I don't see at least 3 or 4 people driving with these things and texting and all this stuff. And so you really feel that the cell phone was a huge component as to why you got the cancer or the brain cancer initially, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You got to understand that when you use a cell phone, you open up the blood-brain barrier. Now, the blood-brain barrier there is what? To put a barrier up between things living in your blood and things living in your brain.
Uh-huh.
That's what it's there for. So when you open that, then anything that is alive in your blood can go up in the back to your brain. And bad things ensue when you set up that situation. And so that's what was going on with me. I had worked with solvents in the past, and they believed that I had like parasites living in my system that totally took advantage of this blood-brain barrier when that gate was finally ruptured. These things could move back and forth, and they think that was the genesis or the beginning of my brain tumor.
So the cell phone actually, it breaks down the blood-brain barrier? Is that what's going on?
You have that blood-brain brain barrier in there. It's a membrane. Uh-huh. And, yeah, there's something about it in the presence of a cell phone, it doesn't work or it works faulty, okay? So it doesn't stop everything from going up and back to the brain. And so now all of a sudden you got all sorts of things that are living in your blood that you don't want in your brain, but now they're going back and forth. And if you do happen to have a parasite living in your blood, then we'll be into you.
Wow. And so we know that Hulda Clark was a big proponent of this, all of these dyes in our clothing and our alcohols and things and parasites and how they relate to cancer. How does the parasite issue relate with cancer, do you think?
How does it relate with cancer?
Yeah, what's the connection between the parasites and cancer, if there is one?
Well, here's the thing. Here's why without saying I know everything about parasites, they're anaerobic. Okay, cancer is anaerobic. And it seems like when we have this environment set up in somebody's body, then disease is the byproduct of it.
Uh-huh.
So I can't tell you exactly how molecularly it works and turns into a cancer cell, if that's what you're asking me. But it seems like when you have that environment set up in somebody's body, cancer is one of the results from that exchange.
I don't know exactly how that works, but I believe it's because these creatures spew lactic acid, and so we become more and more acidic the longer they're in there. And then all of a sudden now we start having malignant cells, and these malignant cells start to multiply, and then before you know it, you have a tumor.
Wow, it's just fascinating how people use cell phones so much, and so many people are coming down with brain tumors these days. And I bet you just cringe when you see people walking down the street with these things connected to their head, don't you?
Yeah, you'll never see me put one to my head. I mean, I use it on speakerphone, like I'll set it on my desk, or I'll set it on my dash of my car. You know, I don't. I mean, I have to live in the same world that you guys do. Okay, and I still have to go out and earn a living every day. Okay, so it's not like I can insulate myself from all this. I can't, but I can do it intelligently. You know, and I actually teach courses on safe cell phone. You know, so how you can use a cell phone, and you can do it in a way where it's not compromising your brain.
Let's talk a little bit about that. What are some of the things people can do?
Distance. We used to always tell people, take a paper plate and put it over the top of the phone, and imagine that plume, or wherever that goes out 6 or 8 inches. That's like an energy plume. Now imagine that was surrounding the whole phone. Okay, so you don't want to get closer than that if it's possible. You know, if you can keep your head at least 6 to 8, 10 inches away, all the better. You know, it kind of gave you a visual cue to say, hey, this is how far you want to keep your head away from the phone.
And I've heard that it's sort of exponential in terms of the distance, isn't it? Like, you know, if you move away your head or your body away from these things, or maybe that's the microwave, that the further you get away from it, it's orders of magnitude, or it's times 10 in terms of the radiation that hits you.
Well, that could be true, but I've never heard that. You know, so everything I've ever learned says the farther you're away from the source, the better.
Well, that's what I mean. For each foot you get away from a cell phone or a microwave,
it's magnified by.
It's demagnified or lessened. Yeah, by.
Oh, lessened. Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it's like orders of magnitude or something.
What's your take on kids and cell phones? I mean, I know it's the same, but do you think that there's obviously a lot more developmentally going on with them when they're younger? That at a certain age you shouldn't even be around those, huh?
There's so much information out there on that. Like Dr. Om Gandhi. I don't know if you've ever heard of that gentleman.
No.
But he took some pictures of what kids look like with cell phone saturation. Adults, and you can really see what may not even penetrate an adult skull would definitely go halfway through a child's skull. Oh. So their skulls are much softer than ours are. Okay. That's just life, okay? So knowing this, we should take extra precautions to keep those things away from them, but I know we don't. I mean, how many kids don't have cell phones nowadays?
Exactly, and that's what's so frightening to me.
Yeah.
Right? Now my kids, I have a younger daughter, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she doesn't, one day she will, but not for a while. And when she does, it's not, I really do try to teach my kids, don't put it next to your head. The big thing, don't put it next to your head, Yeah. If you're going to lay it on the counter, if you can use it on speaker mode, if you can do something like that, then you're going to cut down on the amount of things that happen to you exponentially. I mean, it's going to be huge just by laying it on the table.
It's wild, too, is I see people walking around with their cell phones, and I'll see women, Kate and I will see this all the time, we'll see women, and they'll be working out or on a trail run or something, and they'll store the cell phone right on their bra strap.
Right.
Tuck it into their bra, and we're like cringing.
Yeah, we cringe. I mean, it's just crazy.
So sad.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's, if you're not worried about your breasts, I guess that's fine. But, I mean, we're so conditioned to believe that this thing is benign because we see it everywhere, so it must be safe, right?
Right.
Not so much.
Right.
But it is one of those things that is so familiar that we've lost our fear for it, or at least our respect for it.
Yeah.
So what are some other things people can do to prevent the cell phones from damaging them, do you think, other than keeping it away from their bodies?
Well, I'm not an advocate of a Bluetooth. I would never tell anybody to use a Bluetooth, but like a regular wired headphone, maybe be okay. Like I said, the big thing is space. Even if, it doesn't even do any good to use a headphone with your cell phone if you have it on your person. You want to keep it off of your person. You want to leave it sitting on a table, sitting on the dash, leave it sitting on the seat next to you. The more space you can get between you and that unit, the safer you are.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Because a lot of people will have the Bluetooth in their ear, and then the thing will be sitting on their lap.
Yeah. I sent you one of my presentations, but I routinely give. I teach people how to use their phone safer. I'm not saying it's going to make them safe. Maybe nothing I can do can make them safe. But if it's a little bit safer, if they're not putting it up next to their head, if they're not cooking their brain with it, I've done my job. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always trying to get people just get that thing away from their body.
Yeah. When you were diagnosed, did they say that was a huge part of it? I mean, did they recognize that, or was that not even part of their diagnosis of how you got it?
Doctors don't say that.
Yeah.
They say, we don't know what causes cancer. That's what they say. They play stupid when it's convenient.
I'm sure.
Right.
And again, I'm not here to bash doctors, because I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't for my neurosurgeon.
Absolutely.
Okay? He was just one of them guys, okay? But we're the best, if you're going to get run over by something, or if you have to have a surgery, you're in the best country in the world. However, if you have to go for treatment, something, long-term treatment for a disease, you're in the worst country in the world, because we're lousy at that stuff, okay? We're lousy at things like diabetes and cancer and stuff like that, because we do things that tear down the immune system. Now, I don't know how you can fix somebody who's got a disease because their immune system's already been torn down, or they wouldn't have the disease. How do you fix them by tearing down their immune system even more? That's always been counterintuitive to me. How does that work?
Yeah, it makes no sense. On the actual presentation that you sent to me, it looks like we're the 49th. The United States is number 49 in our longevity.
49th in longevity. Is that crazy? Now we spend twice as much as any other country in the world on healthcare. So we're lousy. We're just flat out bad. Because, like I said, if you're going to fall out of a tree, or get run over by a car, or you're going to have a surgery, you're in a good country. Anything else, you're in the worst country. So it's all about philosophy, and they know that. And they know that you're going to listen to what they say. So doctors, and then they say, hey, we don't even have enough time to do all you see all the patients we have. Well, that's because you don't do the right things by these patients on the onset, and it just festers and gets worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're a very unhealthy nation overall. I mean, for as many people as like you and Kate, there's 10 people who don't exercise and don't take care of their body.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that's the reality we live in, But they make up a large portion of the population. So I try to tell these people, well, hey, if you can just avoid the landmines, okay? If you can avoid the pitfalls, you can avoid the landmines, if you can just use your cell phone with some a little bit of common sense, you can avoid a lot of these things that happen that don't necessarily have to happen, okay? So it's about detoxifying your living space, okay? And so that's a lot of what I talk to people about, just give them ideas, different ways they can do that, different ways they can use their cell phone safely, different ways that they can use electronics safely. All this, it doesn't do you any good to sit next to a transformer either if you go home at night. So everything in its place, and space is usually your best friend.
Yeah, I like that. We're going to come back from the break here right after this, and I want to talk to you a little bit about maybe some of the grounding things that's going on with technology, as well as, some of the things with ways that we can protect ourselves using grounding, and then some more about your cancer and some of the diet and lifestyle principles. And we're with Mr. Rod Czlonka, and his website is healinghut.net. Really, really fascinating guy. So we'll be right back right after this break. Kate and I have had our sauna for about a year now, I'd say, when we first got it from Phil Wilson. And it's an incredible machine. We use ours about every single day. Kate sits in about 20 minutes, and I sit in there about for a half hour. Usually watch a documentary, and it's extremely relaxing. It's really, really incredible machine. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/sauna, you can learn all about it. We did an entire hour interview with Phil Wilson. You can check that out. You can look at the pictures of us with it. You can watch videos on that page. It helps you to sleep really, really well. You can lose a lot of weight with it. You can burn, I think, around 600 calories in about 20 minutes or so. It improves your skin, increases circulation all over the body, and circulation is critical for your health. You can prevent and reverse diseases with it if you have a cold or flu. It's incredible. It heats you down to the core. It heats 4 to 6 inches inside your body, so it's really incredible. And a lot of people use it for cancer as well. So if you have any kind of incurable, quote, disease, you can use it for that. And Dr. Shade is the foremost authority on detoxification. And listen to what he says about it.
How do I detoxify from plastics? I mean, you guys are using a sauna, and what does a sauna do for us? A sauna is great, but it's moving a number of different toxins. Remember, we talked about the mice, that if you put PCBs in there, then that made the mercurial that much worse. And sweating moves out a lot of plastics, volatiles, fat-based toxins. It's really good at moving those out, sweating those out. So that's how you're getting those out, and those are contributing to this synergistic soup inside the body. And so that's why they're good, is they're taking out a bunch of the different things in the soup.
And Daniel Vitalis, one of our favorite guests. What do you have to say about the sauna?
When you go into the sauna, like a far infrared sauna like you discussed, your body goes into a deep relaxation mode, and your sympathetic nervous system shuts down and your parasympathetic nervous system turns on. And when that's active, that's the nervous system, part of your nervous system that's active when you meditate. That becomes active, and your detoxification pathways open up wide. Why is this important? It's important because when you go running and you sweat, you're not necessarily eliminating very much toxicity from your body. But when you sweat in the sauna, you eliminate a lot of toxicity from your body. So sweating in a relaxed state is how we eliminate. The other thing is that what's wonderful about the sauna is that it puts you in a parasympathetic nervous system response, like as if you were meditating. So it's almost a hack. It's like a trick to get yourself into a meditative, relaxed state, to decompress stress, to reverse the effects of stress, and to get your body eliminating deep, deep toxicity that's stored in your body fat, because it can come out in the oils of your skin. So I think, sauna is one of the most crucial detoxification, really health practices that we could take on, especially in this era of heavy toxicity, particularly fat-soluble toxins.
This sauna is really, really great. They offer payment plans, because if you buy it through PayPal, it's 100% secure. You don't even need a PayPal account. I think you could do a payment plan through PayPal. It's got low EMF electromagnetic fields coming off of it. It's portable, so that means you don't have to knock down a wall in your house. You can just move it from room to room. It sets up in about 2 to 5 minutes. It's super easy to clean. All you got to do is wipe it down when you're done, and wipe the neck down. And it produces energy and heat inside very, very evenly throughout the whole machine. All you have to do is sit in there for about 15 minutes a day. And the great thing I like about it too is it requires zero preheating. So you turn it on and you're starting to get warm, and you're starting to detoxify with that far infrared light almost immediately. So it's really great. It comes with a 1-year warranty. It's about $990 plus $25 shipping. And that's really, really a good deal, because if you look at most of the regular saunas out there, they are in the $2,000 to $4,000 range. So this is really, really a good deal. So check it out, extremehealthradio.com/sauna.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
All right, we're having a great time here with Mr. Rod Czlonka from healinghut.net, talking to us about his terminal brain cancer story. Crazy, right?
Gosh.
I wish everybody had enough ability to wake up like he did.
Yeah.
And during their diagnosis and treatment and all that. So interesting information. And as the lady said, don't forget to follow us on I was going to say Skype. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook if you'd like. Oh, man. And if you have any questions about the sauna or the Bellicon Rebounder, please just let me know. Those are two great machines that we love to talk about and offer to you guys. And those are all available in our store as well. So don't forget to check that out if you're interested, and we can help you out with that. And let's see, before the break, we were talking about some interesting information about grounding and things. But Kate, during the break, you wanted to kind of
maybe delve a little bit more into the story for a minute. Rod, is that okay if I ask you another question about your actual diagnosis?
Sure. Go ahead.
So when you were diagnosed, this is a loaded question. You can answer however you want, but what basically from the time that he told you that, how long was it until you got the surgery and the other treatments? And then at what point during that journey did you have that moment of like, I'm not going to let this thing take me out. This is what I'm going to change. And when did your whole paradigm shift happen? And when that happened, what did you do, like a full 180 right away? Was it a slow process? How did that look for you?
Well, it was July 24th, 2003. I had a seizure at work, okay? Right. And they took me to the hospital. I woke up on a gurney going down the hallway. I had no idea why I was there. You know, it was the weirdest sensation if it's never happened to you. And so, anyway, so I find out, they took me there and they said, hey, you should just go talk to it. We don't see anything, but you should go talk to a neurologist just for grins. And I did that. And within a week, they diagnosed I had a brain tumor. And by August, I think it was August 21st, 2003, I had my surgery.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, it wasn't even a whole month from the time I was diagnosed to the time I had the surgery. So,
okay.
Now, when I came out the other end, I was like, I'd like to say I hit the ground running, but I had a sense of what I had to do to survive. And I was watching all these other people who did chemo radiation, and they weren't surviving. So I said, I don't want to do that. But they kind of ramrodded me into it. And so I did it for a couple, I guess I did 19 sessions of linear radiation with the charged particle beam accelerator.
Oh, wow.
And I also did 3 months worth of chemo, just to appease my family, if nothing else. And I was bad. I mean, I'd say I was gray, but my hair, I didn't have any gray. I didn't have any hair. My hair was gone. My skin was gray. I looked old. I mean, you could just tell it was just hollowing me out. And so I told my wife, I said, don't ever ask me to do this again. Okay? I love you, but I can't do it for you.
Totally.
Wow.
And so at that point, there was a guy who used to work for me. His mom was a cancer survivor. He says, hey, there's this doctor in town. He's not an MD type. He's more naturopathic, but he helped save my mom. Why don't you go see him? And so I did, and I went to go see this guy, and he started me on the path of, like, alkalizing my body and using good nutrition and enzymes and all that stuff. So he really got me on the path.
Wow, that's interesting.
And that was stuff that was totally foreign to you.
Yeah, it must have been.
I didn't know. I knew nothing about that. But I'm a quick study. I mean, if I wanted to know about something, I'll immerse myself into it until I figure it out.
Right.
Isn't it interesting? You said that you kind of did a little bit of the chemo to appease your family and friends. It's interesting. I had a friend of mine recently, I think within the last 6 months, that died of colon cancer, and she was my age. And it was just interesting. I spoke with her on the phone, and she said one thing to me that was just, I'll never forget. I was talking to her, and she went to the Healing Cancer World Summit that we talk about, and all this stuff, and she's learning all this information about cancer. And she said to me, I'll never forget, she said, Justin, if I don't do chemo, my parents are going to kill me.
Exactly.
That there's a lot of pressure to do that, isn't there?
Well, there's a huge amount of pressure, and it's all based in ignorance, okay? Because it's easy for me to say what I think you should do, but you know what? If you don't know about chemo, if you don't know about radiation therapy, it's inhumane, it's barbaric, it's Nazi-esque. I would not recommend that for anybody for anything, okay? But these people, they have one tool in their toolbox, and it's a hammer, and so everything looks like a nail.
Yeah.
And so we have to use the hammer on it. Well, no, maybe that's not the best tool for the job. Maybe you need to go buy a different tool, or maybe you need to educate yourself on a different way to use your hammer. I don't know, but I'm just saying chemo radiation it cures nobody of anything, okay? It cures nobody of anything. There are people who do survive in spite of it, but not because they were cured by the therapeutic action of the chemo.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, how could you heal your body through poisoning, you know?
Right, exactly.
So going back
and here's how it works, just so you know, and all your listeners know, what happens is the first time you treat your cancer cells, and you do kill some of the cancer cells, but what happens is there's other cells, there's healthy cells, and you mutate them, okay? Well, okay, so maybe, say, for the sake of argument, you killed off the cancer cells, but you mutated some of the healthy cells. So next time it comes back, and you hit it with the cancer, the chemo and the radiation again, it has no effect to it. But that's because it has an immunity from the first time, okay? You know? So it survived the first time, and so when you try to hit it the second time, it has no effect on it. And people say, oh, that's why cancer comes back with a vengeance. No, it's simple immunology. If you know how your body works, and you know that some of them are going to survive, then obviously that's not what you want to do. You want to find out a way to work with your body, not against your body, right? If there's some things that kill cancer cells, let's invest some time, money, and knowledge in those things and see how that would work. But it's not chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is just like, it's no better than rat poison. Truly, it's not. But it's a bill of goods that we sell to patients. Okay? And now that's fine. If your ultimate destination is for population control, then fine, keep doing what you're going to do. But if you're really trying to help people, chemo and radiation are not the way. And matter of fact, 50 years from now, they'll probably look at them as barbaric tactics we used to use, as a primitive society. Yeah, but it's nothing that the modern man should be even considering.
Well, I wonder though. I mean, do you really think that they're going to take away the big profits of the chemotherapy? I mean, that's a huge billion-dollar industry. Do you think that chemo will ever go away?
All I can do is hope.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's I think it's a $200 or $300 billion a year industry. The whole chemotherapy scam.
Oh, easily. Yeah, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but it doesn't do anything. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't add a minute onto a patient's life. And why would you go through all that pain and suffering if it doesn't add on to your longevity?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest here. I mean, why put people through that indignation if we don't have to? Right. So, I mean, these are the things I see. I told my neurosurgeon, he's the most preeminent neurosurgeon, like I mentioned, probably in the United States. And I said, listen, Doc, I love you, but, all this stuff, all these adjunctive therapies, they're useless. I says, not only are they useless, they're deadly. I says, I would never tell anybody to use these things. And he understands this. He understands it intellectually, but as far as him jumping into that band camp, he can't do that. He loses his license.
He'll lose his license. Yeah, so you actually said that to him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Well, I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, it's not like he's not some ivory tower guy. He's really he's one of these guys who doesn't mind rolling up his sleeves and getting his hands dirty.
So what kinds of things are you doing these days to prevent cancer? Do you kind of do the alkaline diet you talked about? And
I do. I alkalize my body. I try to eat as many green and raw foods as possible. Try to eat as many foods with enzymes as possible. All these things, because that's how your body works, and that's how your immune system works. Spend 15 minutes learning about how your immune system works. So, I definitely highly invested in a lot of holistic food. Always learning, always reading, always into nutrition. You can never know it all. And believe me, I've listened to many of your shows just so I can learn something. And and you've had some great authors on there. And believe me, I am taking notes while I'm driving. Just a key word or something like that, because it jars my memory for later.
Wow, that's cool.
So you have a huge impact on me, as well as I'm sure tens of thousands of other people.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
That's what we're hoping. Hey, Rod, real quick, Yvette, one of our good friends and listeners, just wrote in, and she asked, she's been on your website, noticed you have products from a company called 0 Point Global. She's wondering if you could speak a little about them, what they do, and what your experience has been in using them.
Well, what they do is they make products that makes cell phone technology and cellular technology safer. Okay. That's it. I mean, they have different types of crystals and pendants and stuff like that. That if you wear it and you're on your cell phone, it's not having the same consequences on your body as if you had nothing on. Okay, that's ultimately the goal. Mm-hmm. I've had one on. Matter of fact, the guy who started that company, I knew him before there was any 0 Point Global, and I remember because I remember it's like it's 10 years ago, and I'm looking at this ad that says this pendant will help you bolster your immune system. It'll help you, block cellular radiation. Mm-hmm. And I'm listening to all these things it's allegedly it's going to do, and I thought this sounds crazy. But it was $125, and I said, well, you know what? What if it did work, and I was too afraid to spend the money, And believe me, that has gotten me through a lot in life because I look at it and say, well, what's the worst thing that can happen here? But long story short, and the reason I say that is because these things do help. I do wear these pendants. I do wear these things around my neck, and they do help with cell phone radiation because it's ubiquitous now. It's not just about when I'm on the phone. It's everywhere, okay?
Yeah, right.
There's Wi-Fi and cell towers everywhere. In Illinois, where I'm at here, there's something like 300 antennas within 400 within 4 miles.
Oh.
Within 4 miles of my house, there's something like 300 antennas.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, no one's immune. I mean,
yeah, I don't know if it's that bad in California.
I actually did a search before the show, Rod, on a link from your website, which was antennasearch.com, which is probably the website you're talking about. And on as far as where we are, there's 31 towers within 4 miles, and then 192 antennas.
Well, that's better. Not perfect, but better. It's a lot better. Yeah.
Do you think the towers? What's the difference between the towers and the antennas? Do you think?
Well, a tower, I believe that's the tower with the antenna.
Oh, okay.
The antenna is just the antenna.
I see. So the towers would be the one that you'd probably be most concerned with.
I think you should be concerned with all of them. They're putting them on water towers now. Have you seen that?
I have. We've seen those in our town.
Yeah. Talk about bad judgment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because imagine what that's doing to the water, right?
Can't be doing anything good to the water, right?
That's for sure.
I mean, so this is a big black area, but this stuff is not getting better. Unfortunately, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
There's more and more people with cell phones. There's more and more people with wireless phones. And it's more prevalent every time I turn around.
So protection and prevention are the name of the game with all this stuff.
I would say so. And space.
And space, absolutely.
Yeah. The farther you can stay away from these towers, the farther you can stay away from that cellular transmitter, all that stuff makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Hey, Rod, if you were diagnosed today, as opposed to when you're 41, would you do anything differently?
I would have explored dissolving the tumor without surgery more so than what I did. I just went, hey, get it out. But now, because when you crack open your skull especially, there are some long-term outcomes there that you can't get away from. So, yeah, I would have tried more naturopathic techniques to try to dissolve it without the surgery. And use the surgery as a last resort instead of a first resort. I just did that because I just didn't know any other options.
Right. Interesting. So what are some things like in your daily life that you think about that are just sort of non-negotiables? Like for us, it's microwave. I won't touch anything in microwave. I won't touch anything in styrofoam and that kind of thing. What are some non-negotiables and what are some absolute things that you do your very best each day to include?
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, I'm always taking supplements. I mean, that's the joke around the house. What supplement is Rod trying out this?
Sounds like us.
Well, it is. I know because I know you were talking to Ty Bollinger about moringa, and I tried that. I'm always processing new stuff, so I'm trying to keep myself saturated in good nutrition.
Okay.
I'm always trying to keep. Yeah, you're right. I don't use a microwave oven. That's ridiculous. You know, I mean, we used to keep it around just for the popcorn, and we won't even. You know, now once you know what a microwave oven's about, you can't even eat popcorn out of there.
Exactly.
I know, right?
Right? You know, it's horrible.
Yeah.
The cellular thing is the big thing, though. You know, those are the things because what it affects every one of our lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every one of us has to have our own plan about how we're going to make this tool safe. How am I going to make this safe for me? How am I going to make it safe for my kids? You know, I have older kids, so there's really I try to put a lot of thought into it. We try to do research to find out which units have the lowest amount of output radiation, things like that nature. Mm-hmm. How far can we keep it away from our body? Can we use it on speakerphone? Things like that. You know, so I put a lot of time and energy into those things more than anything else.
So you like the 0 point global stuff, and I guess you could get some tri-field meters or Gauss meters, things like that, to test out a lot of these products, couldn't you?
Well, you could. They're not. Here's the thing: if you hold a cell phone and you hold a 0 point pendant, it's not going to change the reading on your cell phone. Okay, it's not going to do that. However, it will make you stronger. You know, because like if you're holding a cell phone, you're going to be physiologically weaker. Okay, mm-hmm. So having the pendant on will make you stronger. So I know that sounds like a bunch of crap, but it's true. It's what I've come to understand is true. You know, that's why I've worn one since I went through my brain tumor originally. You know, like I said, I was sitting there going, okay, this sounds crazy, but for $125 I did it, and I found that gave me some benefit. It didn't get rid of my brain tumor or anything else, but it did help me and kept me strong after I got back from the hospital and stuff. So I believe in the technology. It's not a cure-all, but it does help.
I suspect that using anything like that is just, it's going to be a step in the right direction, at least energetically for us, because what do we know what is the placebo effect? Isn't it like 30% or something?
Yes.
So just believing that these things work is probably helps you just by itself, right?
Well, I mean, maybe. You know, I certainly don't want to dismiss the placebo effect, but I'd like to think it's more than the placebo effect. I'd like to believe that your body is an energy system, and when you put a conductor along with a crystal, you've made an amplifier. Okay, and so now when you're amplifying that voltage in your body, something good's got to come out the other end.
I agree with you on that for sure, Rod.
So
didn't you have David Serrato on your show?
We did, yeah, Mr. Crystal Energy. He's amazing.
He is amazing.
Yeah, that guy is a treasure trove of facts and figures.
Yes, yes.
Right?
He is just a fascinating guy. So wrapping up the show, just one quick question. What do you make of all of these things going around, the propaganda and all this stuff going on with mammograms and early screening, early detection? What do you make of all that stuff?
Well, mammograms is a con. It's a scam. It uses radiation. It uses pressure on a woman's areolas. Uh-huh. Okay? Two things you don't want to use on a woman's breasts. Okay? One, you don't want to use radiation. Second, you don't want to put any sort of pressure on the breast. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I don't know how these doctors feel like they're doing something scientific. There's nothing you can do with a mammogram that you can't do with an ultrasound. An ultrasound is non-invasive. Okay? And I know because when my mother-in-law was still alive, they wanted to send her for a mammogram. I said, don't go for a mammogram. Tell them you want to go for an ultrasound. Mm-hmm. Because if they find something on a mammogram, what's the first thing they do?
Well, they want to probably cut your breast off, don't they? Or
no,
take it out?
If they find something on a mammogram, the first thing they do is they put you to an ultrasound.
Oh, okay.
So that is the defining thing. Now, the thing about ultrasound is it's non-invasive. It won't hurt the tissue, okay? Whereas a mammogram uses radiation. So, obviously, we shouldn't be doing mammograms to anybody for any reason anyway.
Are ultrasounds more precise?
Yes.
Clearly. Yeah. So what do you think the reason, in your opinion, is? Is it the money game, or is it something even more disturbing than that?
That's definitely the money game.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff is the money game. I mean, how often they send you for a CAT scan, okay? And then, I'll say, no, I'm not going to go for a CAT scan. I'll go for an MRI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that uses magnetism. Okay, it's much less invasive than a CAT scan is. Okay, so we have that right as consumers. We can say, no, we don't want that. Very few of us do that, but we have that right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We just don't authorize it.
Right.
So my parting comment would be, if somebody tries to send you for a CAT scan, tell them you want an MRI. Somebody tries to send you for a mammogram, tell them you want an ultrasound.
Okay, I like it.
That is great advice.
That's great advice. So are you working on anything these days, anything new in terms of healinghut.net?
I'm always writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got another book coming. I hope to get it out the end of this year. It won't happen. So it'll probably be springtime next year.
Okay.
Oh, right on.
Okay, and what's the working title of that, if you don't mind sharing?
I really don't have a working title for it right now.
Okay.
But I will tell you that it's more esoteric, and I do interview a number of people, and one of them, which is Richard Bach from Johnson & Livingston Seagull.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I do have a short interview in there with him, and I try to interview other people just to get their perspective and kind of fill in the whole, it's all interpretational,
Yeah.
It's all a perspective game. So again, it's not going to be as much nuts and bolts. It's going to be more interpretational, more perspective, and I'm going to try to interview some people of note, hopefully anyway.
Wow, good stuff. Yeah. Maybe one day, Rod, we can all figure out how to reach the masses even more and wake people up,
Well, hey, all we can do is stay true to the course, right?
Right.
That's right.
I listen to all your shows, and I got to believe that you guys are very good at that. So I feel honored to have been on your show.
It's
thank
an
you
honor
so
to
much.
have you, Rod. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod, for spending some time with us. I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for sharing your story. And if people want to get a hold of you, they can do so through your website?
Yes.
Awesome.
Healinghut.net.
Healinghut.net, right.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, Rod, for everything, and we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Rod.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right. Well, we're still live.
We made it through our first live.
We made it through
by the skin of our teeth.
By the skin of our teeth. Wow, that was an interesting show, wasn't it?
Rod is a great man.
Yeah.
I could talk to that guy for hours. There's certain people I just feel like you just want to go grab a juice with.
I know, right?
A non-GMO fried something.
A non-GMO juice?
Non-GMO juice.
I know, right?
But yeah, just I feel like we could talk to him 5 different interviews and just break down so many different aspects of I feel like with most guests, we barely scratch the surface of things. I mean, his story alone, I could talk to the guy for hours about. And, gosh, I just love having real people with real stories. The guy clearly knows more than probably a lot of doctors.
Yeah.
Fascinating guy, and I just feel like every time we have a person with a story, with that, the impact that continues to spread after people hear a story like that, and the hope. I mean, somebody listening to this right now live, or in 5 years from now, could have a mother who was just diagnosed with the brain. I mean, just him getting that story out there, even if it affected one person, which I know it's going to be way more than that, could change and alter the outcome of someone's entire life and their future and their future kids and their future kids.
Yeah, because what if one person lives as a result of his story?
Then it's all worth it.
Then that person has a kid and their whole family line, family tree never would have existed had it not been for someone like Rod's story.
Right.
I mean, it's just amazing the impacts, the repercussional impacts that can happen as a result of one person. Because really, theoretically, he shouldn't be alive.
Right.
And so whoever gets affected by this show or by his story, I mean, it's crazy.
Well, and not only has he been, here for a reason, clearly, but his life has not only been saved, but I'm sure the things that, have changed along with that diagnosis and what you go through, how he talked about just changing his lifestyles, diet, things like that, the cell phone usage, that saves his family under him too. Like his kids will be healthier because of it.
Right.
It stopped it's like the buck stopped there. It's like everything from that point on that he changed is going to affect just to his generations.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting too that you brought up the whole idea with the kids and the cell phones, because you see those, and there's a couple things going on with kids and cell phones. You think, okay, number one, they're holding these things up to their heads, right? They don't really have the knowledge and the wherewithal to hold these things away from their body. And he said their skulls are actually more permeable, right? They're not as well developed.
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay, so that makes sense. But also on top of that, their brains are still developing. Not only are their brains still growing,
right,
but they're actually developing in the sense of becoming more of who they are as people. So their consciousness and their awareness is developing.
Right, they're unfolding.
They're unfolding. So all this activity is happening in the brain of a child. And then when you give them a cell phone, it breaks down the blood-brain barrier. And then whatever toxic foods they're being exposed to, parasites and what have you, are going to their brains. And thank God that he's helping people to realize all this stuff,
I feel like, thank God for him and what and just his passion about getting the word out there. I get very nervous when, probably a couple times a week at the salon that I'm at, the mothers come in that couldn't get a babysitter, and they'll have their 2 and under a year, little people with them. And what do? They hand them their cell phone. Just to keep them quiet, they'll put on a video or let them play a game. These people are 2 years old, and it just, I try not to, how do you...
You don't say anything, do you?
No, but I'm going to live by example. When we have a kid, I know that that's something we are never going to be doing.
Well, what I've seen people do this is where they're pregnant, and they'll be on their phone, and their phone is sitting right on their pregnant belly.
Yeah. Wake up, people. Time to wake up.
Yeah, time to wake up.
This is why we have people like Rod on the show, and I can't thank him enough for spending that time with us. And
oh my gosh.
Honored that he listens to our show. Anytime anybody listens to our show, it's just an honor.
It's just an honor, yeah. And on his little thing, what we'll do is we'll download the document that he sent to us, a presentation. But he's got in there, it's pretty interesting, 6 formally FDA-approved products. Vioxx was for arthritis. There have been over 100,000 deaths attributed to this product, even more people who had strokes or heart attacks and survived. Thimerosal. Preservative contains mercury. Prior to thimerosal, the incidence of autism was 1 in 10,000. In some states today, it runs as high as 1 in 150.
Oh my gosh.
And guess what contains thimerosal?
What?
The new flying flu vaccine.
No.
Flying. What? No.
Swine flu.
New flying flu.
Flying swoo vaccine.
Swine flu vaccine. Yeah, isn't that crazy? The swine flu vaccine contains thimerosal. And then another one, Baycol. I love these names.
Baycol. How did they come out? Yeah.
Baycol. For cholesterol, over 100 deaths and 1,600 injuries. Rezulin. Rezulin for diabetes, over 400 deaths and 14,000.
Because everyone's low on Rezulin. That's what'll help balance out your blood sugar.
Oh, well, that's this one's
lacking Rezulin.
14,000 liver injuries. Celebrex, which is a painkiller. Heart attack, stroke, cardiovascular problems. This is my favorite, Crestor. Have you ever seen the commercials for Crestor?
I have seen Crestor.
For cholesterol, because apparently Baycol wasn't good enough for cholesterol. They have to come out with Crestor. Unbelievable.
Go ahead. I'm not surprised at all those statistics because of what was the one that we read about, the antibiotic, Levaquin?
Oh, Levaquin.
Cipro. One, it's scary, but if you go on to... Where do we find it, on Facebook or YouTube? Just Google.
One of our Free for All Friday shows, we talked
about that. Yeah. Oh my gosh! And just one little tiny pill of a round of those antibiotics has killed people. So
one pill.
One pill of an antibiotic. That's not even like somebody injecting your arm with a swine flu vaccine. This stuff gets me fired up.
And you took one pill, and it sent you into the emergency room at Disneyland.
I was laid up. Thank God I didn't continue. I took that as my body's clearly rejecting it.
Mm-hmm. So. It says on here, his PDF, Congress enacted user fees be paid by the drug industries to the FDA for evaluation of new drugs. The FDA gets 42% of its funding from these user fees. In 2008, this amounted to more than $438 million.
Wow.
These same drug companies gave out $8 billion in free samples to doctors in 2008.
Free samples.
$8 billion in free samples. They really
Wouldn't that be horrible if the free sample was the one that took you out?
Oh my gosh. Isn't that crazy? So we'll put a link Why wouldn't my doctor tell me this? Susan G. Komen Foundation elbows out charities over use of the word cure. Wow, I'm going to read this real quick. In addition to raising millions of dollars a year for breast cancer research, fundraising giant Susan G. Komen, have you heard of them?
Who? Susan G. Komen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're huge.
They're huge.
Has a lesser-known mission that eats up donor funds, patrolling the waters for other charities and events around the country that use any variation of, quote, for the cure in their names. So far, Komen has identified and filed legal trademark oppositions against more than 100 of these mom-and-pop charities, including Kites for a Cure, Par for the Cure, Surfing for a Cure, Cupcakes for a Cure, and many...
Cupcakes.
Yeah, right?
I'm sorry.
And many of the organizations are too small and underfunded to hold their ground.
I think my favorite has to be Cupcakes for the Cure. Wow, that's disturbing. Can we post a link to that?
Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm looking at a picture here. If chemo can do this to your skin, what will it do to the inside of your body? Check that out.
Oh, gosh.
I think it's a picture of someone who had accidentally chemotherapy spill onto their hand.
It looks like acid burn, and it's bubbling. That's horrible.
Wow.
Good times, but buy a cupcake and keep
the foundations going. Yeah, run, get that pink ribbon. Right?
I'm so cynical. I need to. Somebody's going to shut me down.
No, but so thanks, guys, for checking out this show. It's episode number 172. If you have any questions or comments about this page or this interview, anything Rod said, you can post your comment on extremehealthradio.com/172. And we'll put a link to his website, healinghut.net, as well as all the links and the references and people that Rod mentioned will be in the show notes. So if you're driving along and didn't have a chance to take notes, we'll post all of this information for you.
And feel free to pick up one of his books. I'm actually going to pick up one of his books because I want to delve into the whole story. I mean, I feel like I know a little bit because I've heard him on other shows and things, and we've just had him on today. But for me, I'm just wanting to get the whole picture. So.
Yeah, Decide to Live, Surviving Cancer When Everyone Tells You It's Time to Die, A State of Being, Healing Your Body and Your Life.
Nice.
Interesting stuff, Mr. Rod Czlonka. And those two products we mentioned, the Sauna and the Bellicon, I can't make any claims here. They don't do anything for cancer, but let me tell you, if I were diagnosed, I would be all over those two, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're interested in those two products, the Sauna and the Bellicon, you can learn more about them in our store. They do nothing for cancer. They will absolutely do nothing for cancer, I have to say that. There's a twinkle in my eye, and you can imagine me winking at you right now.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. And if you have any questions about those particular products, you can always email us to find out more information. We use ours every single day and love both of them. So check those out. And if you know anyone that is dealing with brain cancer or any kind of cancer, please do us a favor and send our show on to them. We would be so grateful.
Yeah, we're all about just saving numbers, saving lives.
Saving lives and empowering people. So if you can, remember when you go home, if you're out on a run or jogging or at the gym right now, driving along, if you can remember to go home and forward this show, number 172, to your friends on Facebook or Twitter or something like that, we'd be so, so grateful. So that would be a huge way of helping us and helping as many of people as you can too. So
yes.
I think that about wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Rod Czlonka, healinghut.net.
That's a great name, Healing Hut.
I like it.
I know.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, check his stuff out.
All right, guys, if there's ever anything we could do for you, let us know. And hopefully that was a good first time for a live show. In the chat room, we had a couple questions, so that was fun. And if there's ever anything we could do for you, just let us know, and we'd love to help you out. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even as you educate yourself in the field of live food nutrition and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers or listeners medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog and during this podcast is discussed in the context of numerous conditions, it can be dangerous to take action based on any of the information on this podcast or in this blog, or to start any health program without first consulting a health